Since the Catholic Church teaches the veiling of women to be more of a discipline opposed to doctrine, I wanted to discuss where exactly the whole veiling of women during Mass and adoration comes from, as well as how it's applicable today. So in 1 Corinthians 11, we see Paul say to the Corinthians, "Every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head, for that is one and the same as if her head were shaved. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels." So in the early church, it was highly debated upon whether the married women were the only ones who had to wear veils, or if virgins should be veiling their heads as well. So Tertullian, one of the early church fathers, actually says, he adds, because of the angels. What angels? In other words, whose angels? If he means the fallen angels of the Creator, there is great propriety in his meaning. It is right that the face, which was a snare to them, should wear some mark of a humble guise and veiled beauty. So angels are understood to kind of be the ministers of the natural order. So this whole concept of women submitting to their husbands, like the church is the bride of Christ, like all of these things that happen in the worldly realm, the angels are the ministers of this natural order. So actually, if you are an extreme feminist, you probably shouldn't wear a veil at your wedding, because that's actually saying that you are making yourself less than your husband. Like you're saying there's something greater than me here, and I am submitting myself to that. The 1960s feminist movement, actually, they protested, "Remove your badges of slavery to men and get rid of your veils." Alice von Hildebrand, one of our Catholic philosophers and theologians, actually states the female body should be veiled because everything which is sacred calls for veiling. Veiling indicates sacredness and is a special privilege of the woman that she enters the church veiled. So as a bride, we wear a veil. Like I personally do not wear a veil during Mass or adoration. It's not necessary, but it is something that can offer an additional level of insight or peace. I've read a lot of different personal testimonies of the first experience of wearing a veil. I know for me, I wore a veil at my wedding, and I'm not saving my wedding dress, but I am saving my wedding veil. So there's this concept of what's going on with a veil. We have white for purity. It's offensive to the bride if anyone shows up wearing white. It's just not okay in our culture. So we essentially have wearing our veils before husbands, and then we have wearing our veils before Christ. So when we look at veiling in the church, we can look at the fact that Melania wore a veil before Pope Francis. Michelle Obama wore a veil before Pope Benedict XVI. Even Hillary Clinton wore a veil when she met with St. Pope John Paul II. So we have this respect for authority that says, I'm in the presence of something greater than myself, and I'm going to humble myself before that so that I can be in a greater submittal to this authority. So that's the concept behind the veil, this whole, covering ourselves. To go even a step further, we have rabbis who wear kippas. The Islamic or Muslim women, they wear hijabs. We have nuns who wear habits. And in some of those situations, it is this lowering of self to authority. But then in other situations, it's identifying ourselves in this culture. It's saying, yeah, if I'm wearing a veil when I walk out to my car Sunday morning on my way to Mass, somebody may look at that and recognize, hey, she must be Catholic. So there's a certain cultural identity that also goes along with wearing a veil that can come into play there. So like I said, I personally don't wear veils to Mass, but I commend all those who do. It may be something that I eventually get convicted to. I mean, obviously I do some research for these blogs, and reading it, it's I could see how it could be a really positive influence in my walk of faith and my spirituality. So perhaps I'll do that, because it's ultimately this thing of submittal. It's this act of submittal that we're offering to God when we come into the presence of Christ at the Mass and allow ourselves to be drawn into that. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. I definitely want to be able to share that information. So God bless you all, and we will see you again next week.